Live from Augusta, you're watching News 12 live at 5.
New tonight, a 13-year-old boy is in the hospital after being shot in the head in Thompson.
This all according to the GBI, who says the shooting happened at around 6:30 last night on Anderson Avenue. Sydney Hood is live where that shooting happened. And Sydney, what do we know so far?
The entire street was blocked off for hours last night. The GBI says they believe gunshots were coming from multiple houses on the street. And in fact, earlier today, there was still some crime tape at these two houses behind me. One of them still has the lights on and a for rent sign on the front. And we spoke to a neighbor and a couple of businesses nearby. They didn't want to go on camera, but they said they heard multiple gunshots, roughly about 20 shots is the estimate they gave us based on what they heard last night. One person said it even sounded like a war zone out here, and that 13-year-old is still in the ICU right now. This is all still under investigation by the Thompson Police Department and the GBI.
Thanks, Sydney, and of course we'll continue following this story and update you as we learn more here on air and on our website, wrdw.com.
Well, looking at radar, we are tracking some showers once again across the southeast. Just haven't seen too much rainfall here, especially north and along of I-20. As we take a closer look into the CSRA, you can find some of that light rainfall now starting to build a little bit further northward, so we could get in on a few more sprinkles here as we head through the evening for areas along and north of I-20. But the real reason why we haven't seen a lot of rainfall, especially north of I-20, is because of this very dry air that has settled in across northern parts of the region. You can see a little bit further south along the Gulf Coast where those dew points are more elevated. That is where you find more of that rainfall actually making it to the ground. So as far as rainfall chances for this evening, we'll definitely keep the chance around for some isolated showers through tonight. So I still would encourage to have the rain gear with you if you do have any evening plans. As far as rainfall chances looking ahead towards tomorrow and Friday, we are going to see those on the lower side, and then Saturday into Sunday, that's when things do dry out completely just in time for the weekend. As far as current temperatures, we do find those in the upper 50s right now, and even some mid 50s around Millen, Gibson as well. So it's a cooler feel out there right now. A light jacket, not a bad idea. As far as the evening planner, we are going to pretty much keep these temperatures in the 50s as we head through this evening as a result of cloud cover hanging around. We'll talk more about rainfall chances and your weekend outlook coming up, but let's take a look at some traffic.
And now, First Alert Traffic.
Taking a live look outside of our studios here off of Riverwatch Parkway, Interstate 20. Not seeing too much traffic right now along Riverwatch Parkway, and also a nice flow of traffic along Interstate 20. Switching over towards Grovetown, starting to see that usual backup of cars here along Lewiston Road, and also that exit 190 off ramp. So definitely be aware of that if you're headed towards Grovetown. We are going to talk more about those rainfall chances and when the sunshine will return coming up.
All right, thanks, Mikhail. South Carolina's top prosecutor wants the state to revamp the way it picks judges. Attorney General Alan Wilson is among those saying public confidence in the judiciary is waning. So something's got to change.
Our State House reporter Mary Green explains why else Wilson is urging reform.
South Carolina is one of two states where the legislature elects judges. And while the state's three co-equal branches of government are supposed to operate under a series of checks and balances on each other, Attorney General Alan Wilson says his branch, the executive, is left out of this process.
Right now, we're not at the same table with the legislature. We're not even at the kids' table. We're outside with our face pressed to the glass.
Wilson's recommendations focus on this group, the Judicial Merit Selection Commission, or JMSC. It annually screens judicial candidates, determines who's qualified, and advances up to 3 candidates for each seat to the General Assembly for its elections. The 10-member JMSC is predominantly made up of lawmakers, who are typically also lawyers. Among Wilson's recommendations, he believes lawyer legislators should not be able to serve on the screening panel, an appeal also made by several South Carolina solicitors. Their reasoning is that the current system produces, at the very least, a perception of unfairness, if not actual impropriety, because the lawmakers who screen and later select judges could later appear before them in court as attorneys. Wilson believes the governor, the head of the state's executive branch, should be able to appoint most, if not all, members of the JMSC. Right now, the governor doesn't appoint any.
We want to be an equal partner in how judges that go through the JMSC are selected.
Representative Micah Caskey, a lawyer who chairs the Judicial Screening Panel and also sits on House Committee studying judicial reform, questions if that would actually be an improvement.
I'm saying that if a legislator who serves on JMSC is tarnished with the appearance or potential appearance of a conflict of interest, that same appearance or actual conflict of interest would attach to an appointee who practices law.
Wilson says this switch would bring statewide accountability to the process instead of through lawmakers who only represent the people within their districts.
Everyone gets to vote for the governor. And if there is an inappropriate or perceived conflict of interest by a gubernatorial appointment exercising their authority as a member of the JMSC as an attorney appearing before the judges, people can go directly to the governor.
The changes Wilson recommends would need legislative approval. The Attorney General told lawmakers this week he isn't advocating for a constitutional change, like moving to a system in which the governor appoints judges or voters elect them. Reporting from the State House, I'm Mary Green.
Now, that committee studying judicial reform will have to submit its recommendations by next February when the legislature is back in session in Columbia.
A South Carolina community says a nearby aluminum plant is leaving a coating of dust over their homes, their cars, and their clothing. And now there's a lawsuit against that aluminum plant for the health effects that dust is causing. Now, this is all happening in Goose Creek near Charleston, where people have noticed dust culminating on their vehicles, plants, and even on their clothes. The lawsuit claims the dust from the plant is causing irritation, swelling, even sinus issues, maybe some bloody noses, headaches, asthma, and more. The suit also claims the dust is causing health issues for people's pets. The Department of Health and Environmental Control is looking into 4 events in September that caused this dust to come out from the plant. Last week, the EPA ruled in favor of a petition calling for the aluminum plant to stop polluting the air. But as of now, there are no citations or violations issued against the plant. The plant has not commented on the lawsuit.
Now, preserving Georgia's history right here in our area. Today, the Georgia Trust for Historic Preservation released its top 10 places in peril. Now, these are areas that must be preserved soon or risk being lost forever. 2 of those 10 locations are right here in the CSRA. Cedar Grove in Martinez was built in 1851 and has served many roles throughout its history, including as a home, sanctuary, and daycare. It's now at risk due to rising maintenance costs and the discovery of mold in the building. The second location is the Old First Baptist Church in Augusta. It was built in 1902 and has a rich religious history. It's privately owned, and the list describes it as, in quote, in a state of despair. Old First Baptist Church is also on the Augusta Endangered Properties list. The goal of this list is to bring attention to history at risk in the state in hopes that something can be done to preserve these locations.
An infant surrendered under Daniel's Law, breaking the record for the most surrendered in 1 year. Today we learned a 1-month-old was surrendered in York County and was safely taken in for medical evaluation. He has since been handed over to a foster family. This baby marks the 8th surrender in South Carolina this year, surpassing last year's record of 7. Daniel's Law was created in 2001 to prevent dangerous and oftentimes fatal child abandonments. Under the law, a parent has 60 days from birth to surrender their infant at a designated location.
We are tracking some low rain chances the next few days with a much improved weekend forecast. Stick around to hear more.
Time and temp. Brought to
Well, welcome back to Live at 5. Taking a live look from Clarks Hill Lake right now. You can see some cloudy skies, but still somewhat of a beautiful day out there. Definitely cooler, though. We're seeing temperatures in the upper 50s right now and a north-northeast wind at about 6 miles per hour. As far as temperatures right now, area-wide, we do find those in the 50s for most locations. A few spots right at 60s, such as Edgefield, also down there in Bamberg and Waynesboro, right at 60 degrees right now. So it is a cooler feel for today. As we head through tonight, we'll find temperatures falling into those those low 50s and maybe a few upper 40s possible. Not going to rule out an isolated shower or two tomorrow throughout your day on Thursday, so still have the rain gear with you and definitely send the kids to school with that. As we look at radar right now, you can see rainfall is still pretty widespread across the Gulf Coast and really most of Georgia right now, southern and central Georgia. A closer look at our area, though, does reveal that a lot of that rainfall has stayed south of Augusta, south of I-20 throughout today. We're looking at about a 6-hour loop right here. But within the last few scans, we have seen some rainfall try to build a little bit further northward, so not ruling out a few sprinkles as we do head through this evening. As far as water vapor and looking at the mid-levels of our atmosphere, just seeing a lot of moisture in the mid-levels, but also some drier air wrapping around on the backside of this area of low pressure. So this area of low pressure is forecasted to weaken as it does move through the region, and that should also help our rain chances stay a little bit lower as we finish off the work week. As far as dew points, this is the main reason why we haven't really seen rainfall in the middle and upper portions of the region. As you can see, a lot drier air versus some at least 40s and 50s for dew points in the southern part of the area, which has seen rainfall for a good bit of today. Looking ahead at the rainfall to come as we head all the way through Friday, you can see that just not looking at impressive rainfall totals, even taking this out through Sunday into Monday. So a lot of us do stay below 1/4 of an inch of additional rainfall in the next 48 hours, which definitely indicates that we're not expecting too much in the way of heavy rainfall to actually happen in the coming days. As far as looking at the future cast here and going through portions of tonight to tomorrow morning, this definitely is showing a lot more rainfall than what's expected, but I think it's doing a good job of what's going on right now. But it does also show a drier outlook for a good chunk of your Thursday, especially moving past midday and then even into portions of Friday. Just tracking that chance for some isolated showers really over the next 48 hours, but just not expecting a complete washout by any means. So rainfall chances looking pretty slim the next few days. As we head towards the weekend, though, things definitely do begin to dry out, and we're looking at mostly sunny skies for your Saturday. Sunday, sunny and nice. Those temperatures a tad bit cooler, but Saturday we're going to be above average with middle 70s. Our mornings will start off in the 40s and 50s, but you can pull out the shades once again as we do see cloud cover leaving us late Friday into early Saturday. A quick update on the tropics. We are watching 2 areas for potential development. This first disturbance near Central America has about a 50% chance of development in the next 7 days and also a 40% chance in the next 48 hours. And we're also watching a disturbance right off the coast of Florida that has about a 10% chance of development in the next 48 hours to 7 days. So we'll keep a close eye on that as hurricane season doesn't end until November 30th. 7-day forecast, though, much improved by the weekend.
All right, thanks, Mikkel. Thousands of Delta Airline employees are fed up and claim the company is not supporting the civil rights of its workers to unionize.
Now, this includes hundreds of workers at the world's busiest airport in Atlanta, Hartsfield-Jackson. As Tori Cooper explains, workers claim Delta is trying to incite fear among employees wanting to unionize.
Union power! Union power! Union power!
Yesterday, folks wanting to unionize held a news conference here in Atlanta before today's trip to Memphis. A ramp worker telling Atlanta News First Delta has anti-union flyers up in break rooms and that managers are sitting down with employees and making sure that they know they do not want them to unionize. In a statement to Atlanta News First, Delta denied claims of interfering with workers' efforts to unionize and said that they support their employees' rights. Delta said over the past 20 years, attendants, ramp and cargo workers have rejected union representation because many workers prefer to advocate for themselves. Workers we spoke with yesterday say forming a union is the best way to ensure no one is flying alone when it comes to change.
We gathered today to emphasize and to advocate for the fundamental right of Delta workers and Delta employees to organize. This press conference serves as a platform to discuss the significance of supporting and upholding the rights of employees to form a union.
We need the community support and tell Delta to respect their workers' constitutional and federal rights.
Delta workers who are involved in this movement have invited the CEO of Delta and other leaders of the airline to meet with them in Memphis. They're going to be there at 2 today, wanting to have an open discussion about making a union.
Talks between union hopefuls and Delta Airlines continue tonight.
Well, if you need to apply for student financial aid, there are some changes for this year. We take a look at what you need to know when we come back.
First Alert Radar, powered by Jim Hudson Automotive Group. The McRib is back on Cert Christmas.
Coming to the Columbia County Performing Arts Center Monday, November 20th. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com.
combo meal with fries and Dr. Pepper is just $6, only in the McD app.
Any family hoping to apply for state aid for their college-bound high school graduate would usually just be about wrapping up the procedure by now. A new law changed not only the application date, but also the free application for the federal student aid itself.
Yeah, Dawn G has details on the changes made to help you make ends meet when it comes to getting that higher education.
This really is big news. Federal financial aid has not seen a change like this in decades. It's a lot of changes, but it sounds like it's a lot less to do.
The FAFSA opens in December for this year, and this would be for students that are applying for college in fall 2024.
Most families are preparing for the holidays, but if you have a college student in your home, you should also be preparing to fill out the free application for federal student aid, better known as FAFSA. This is the key to unlock college grants, state aid, work study, and federal student loans.
Then it takes the average student 20 years to pay off their student debt, which is an incredibly long amount of time.
The FAFSA Simplification Act brought with it a lot of changes and a pretty significant simplification to the process.
The FAFSA has been overhauled. So it used to be that the FAFSA had 108 questions. Now they have streamlined it down to 36 questions. So it's going to be much simpler and easier for families to complete.
How did they chop off more than half of the application to award federal student aid?
The way they have done that is by requiring that families transfer financial information directly from the IRS tax data into the FAFSA.
Most of the individual questions about finances are no longer needed since your tax information is downloaded with the application. The EFC, or the expected family contribution, which is a measure of how much a student and his or her family can be expected to contribute to the cost of their college education during a given year, has also been replaced on the FAFSA.
The new FAFSA has changed the EFC to something called a Student Aid Index Number, or SAI. Now, your SAI could actually be a negative number. If you receive a negative number anywhere in the range of negative number to 0, that means that you will likely qualify for a full Pell Grant.
Your SAI number is calculated by the government.
The higher your SAI number, the less likely you're going to qualify.
The FAFSA Simplification Act also removed the requirement of selective service registration, and drug convictions will no longer affect your chances for qualifying. It added questions about applicant sex, race, and ethnicity. This has no effect on your federal aid eligibility. The information will be used for data and statistical purposes only.
Families that are most in need are the ones that are going to be prioritized for federal grants.
Another big change, the FAFSA will no longer provide a discount for multiple children in college at the same time. That might hurt a bit. A little warning, all the dates and deadlines are not in, so that's where your homework comes in. There may be at least 3 different deadlines that you're going to need to keep track of when you're filing the FAFSA. There is generally a federal deadline, a state deadline, and an institution deadline. So keep track, helping you make ends meet. I'm Dawn G.
South Carolina art student making a rare achievement. She is now just one of 52 students across the world who received a 5 out of 5 on her AP 3D art portfolio. The exam is more than just showcasing your art. It also requires in-depth analysis and writing. Then a panel of 5 judges decides scoring based on different categories. Welchel says it's more than just being creative, it's an outlet.
The way that I communicate with the world through expression of like my emotions when words can't suffice, kind of thing to myself, like what would be seen in like a magazine and make me feel like, whoa, that's really interesting.
She says that while this process has been very stressful, she's enjoying the fruits of her labor. She is the first high schooler in South Carolina's history to get this perfect score, something that's very impressive. Mikhail?
I would definitely agree, Will. It is insanely impressive. As far as looking at the 3-day forecast, some gloomy days ahead, but much improved for the weekend, which is great news. Stick around to hear more.
This month is
Take a look at this. The Children's Hospital of Atlanta just held a party to celebrate the birthday.
24 Corolla Cross for $299 a month. It's your best yes November ever with Milton Ruben Toyota.
WildBaby.com. Click, click.
Take a look at this. The Children's Hospital of Atlanta just held a party to celebrate the birthday of one of their facility dogs, Blanche. Oh, look at Blanche. Blanche looks like Nugget at the Children's Hospital of Georgia. Anyway, Blanche is part of the Duncan Joy and Childhood Foundation's Dogs for Joy program.
Now, she performs a range of tasks like keeping a child calm during a medical procedure or motivating a child to get out of bed and just go for a walk. Blanche got plenty of treats and love during her birthday celebration with her hospital patients there.
Oh,
what a good doggo.
I know. Good girl, Blanche.
Love to see that.
My
Helping
favorite
out
part.
some of the children that are going through some tough times.
That's my part right there. It said, let's party.
You're always showing up for the party, boy.
That's my favorite part right there. No, but happy birthday to Blanche. Look at her just posing.
Oh,
She's so sweet.
She is. What a good dog. As far as looking outside at Grovetown, it's definitely a gloomy outlook right now. We're going to hold on to clouds for at least through Friday before we see some sunshine returning into the weekend. But not to rule out maybe a few breaks in the clouds before Saturday for sure. We are noticing a good bit of traffic in the Grovetown area, but nothing out of the ordinary for this time. We're looking at temperatures right now in the 50s, pretty much area-wide. A few spots still close to 60 now that sun pretty much has set for today. We're looking at the radar right now, still seeing a good bit of rainfall across the Gulf Coast and trying to work its way into a little bit further northward across our area. So maybe a few more sprinkles right now falling near Augusta and for some of our counties like Columbia County, Thompson, and McDuffie County, places like that could be getting just a few sprinkles right now. But this rainfall, very light in nature and will continue to be as we head through portions of tonight. We're looking at very low rainfall chances for Thursday and Friday, but a much improved weekend.
All right, thanks, Mikkel. Stick with us. We have more news, weather, and sports coming up after a short break as News 12 Live at 5 continues.
This is not you.